welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to watch a video that I came across by Taser Black, I believe. Yes, Taser Black. He did an IG live, a random IG live, and guess who came on? Paul came on from the Blue Therapy. Now this show, it's literally taken the internet by storm, and some of the things in there I can see why it's triggering so much online. And then I came across this live, and I'm not obviously going to react to the whole of the live because the live was about 2 hours long. We're just going to focus on the snippet where a young lady who isn't a therapist, but the way she articulated her knowledge and her experience and the way she related to Paul, let's just watch it together.
This is my friend Emily.
Hi, friend.
Hi, Paul.
Emily, this is Paul. All right, cool. Emily has some questions for you.
I do.
All right.
How
So
are
I'm
you,
supposed
Paul?
to. I'm
very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us. I was talking about you earlier with Taser. I'm really pleased to see you.
Thank you, likewise. Thank you.
Cool. So I just have one question to ask again, and I'm re-asking from the comment section. How is Chioma doing?
Very well.
She's very well.
Very well.
Okay. Do you know what Chioma's love language is?
Yes.
And do you think that
You see how the questions are different now? You see how the question, you see? The thing, can I
Look, now, I feel like it's interview mode, you know?
I'm really sorry to do this to you, Paul, but I think just as a disclaimer, because you have now been thrust into the public realm, I do not have the luxury of mollycoddling you, especially on the topic that we are discussing. Does that make sense? You're kind of under fire, and so I'm kind of taking shortcuts to get to these answers. So I don't mean to be jarring or rude. I'm just trying to get to the meat of the matter as quickly as possible, right?
Okay.
Okay. So you know what Chioma's love language is. Do you feel that you express this to her and you love her in this manner?
Look, Emily, right? If we've been together for 3 years, if we were really going through things, do you think we'll be together for 3 years?
I'm just going to pause that right there. What he did there was he was trying to deflect. And you know that is something that he has been doing on the show. So it's just part of his character. There's nothing wrong with it. However, when someone has this kind of character, it can take away from the trail of thought, okay? So instead of answering questions, they like to shift it onto something else that is comfortable for them. Sometimes it's a coping mechanism, and sometimes they're doing it subconsciously. Either way, it is happening. But I just love the way Emily was able to bring it back to the topic at hand. So anytime you're dealing with someone like this, or you're relating to someone like this, maybe it's your significant other, if you find that when you're talking about a particular topic, they take it away, find a way to bring it back in a very gentle manner. Maybe that may mean you might have to take a minute or two to divert, but then make a mental note of what it was you were discussing and bring it right back. That is the only way you're going to be able to really get to a resolution of anything in a relationship with someone like this. Again, as I said, it may not be a malicious character trait of his. It may be something that he is just used to doing subconsciously. So let's just continue.
Yes, I would, and I tell you, I answer this because I was married for up to 10 years. And I know what it takes to keep a relationship going through thick and thin. So there will be ups and there will be downs, and you will keep on trucking because you want to keep this thing going. So for you to be at 3 years, I still think that there is an opportunity for you to grow and to recognize that with each other, there is change, and that change might need for you to seek help. You cannot be, in my humble opinion, all-knowing and all-seeing in your relationship. You cannot possibly be the person that fixes the very issue that you are involved in. And I think this is why Chioma is asking you to come for therapy.
Maybe.
Maybe.
See, I absolutely love it. I love it when we get a different side of somebody else, okay? So I know with Paul, he has been getting, should I say the wrong end of the stick? Don't worry, I was on the other camp for a very long time until I watched this live. And then I really saw that someone was really able to get into his head a little bit more. And I find that maybe because in Emily's case, maybe he felt more comfortable opening up or letting down his defenses, whereas with Denise, as he mentioned before the show, he wasn't really all for it, and I totally empathize with him, you know, being like the cameras and everything. I totally get where he was coming from. Yeah, so let's continue.
So even after the 2 episodes, you don't feel like you're in the wrong, or
she made mistakes. She made mistakes. There's some things, and I told her there's some things. We're not. Look at episode 1 now. They were dragging me on Shadeborough. What the hell is that?
Paul, I don't think that anybody is saying that you are entirely at fault for what's happening in your relationship or what we have consumed on the show. I think that when 2 people are involved in a thing, 2 people will take responsibility for how that thing manifests, right? Before I hopped off the live earlier, I said to Taser that I've learned from the end of my marriage that I have made mistakes. And that I'm very comfortable now in that space in owning up to those mistakes, not repeating those mistakes, and in moving forward in any future relationships that I might have, recognizing what my weaknesses are and trying to maneuver better in the steps that I then take. And I think that even though your relationship is not ending, it might be worthwhile for you to not hold on to the things that Chioma might have done wrong, but think we have both taken missteps perhaps in where we are now, and we should both therefore consider how we can make this better. I think, again, in my opinion, humble opinion, Paul, that it's very difficult to accept or to hold a mirror up to yourself. It's really difficult. It's a very humbling process to have to go through, because you're saying, in my most personal, my most intimate space with the person that I love the most, I haven't done well. And you strike me as the kind of person that seeks to be on top of his game no matter what he's doing. So whether it's your business, whether it's your exercise or diet, whether it's your relationship, you want to be the best at what you do. So for you to have to be going through this in a public space is really difficult for you. And I think that's why you're expressing yourself the way you are.
That was beautifully articulated, Emily. And this is where I'm trying to get you ladies to. This is a woman who has been through a lot in her marriage, but did you sense any ounce of bitterness from her? Did you sense any ounce of resentment from her? Because those 2 traits, you cannot fake it to make it. I promise you, because I myself, I have had to go through this journey from when I was highly triggered to breaking those defenses down and really looking into the mirror and saying, it's because I was broken. That's why I attracted and accepted brokenness. That is why I tolerated X, Y, and Z, because I didn't think I was worthy. And then I needed to go further and ask myself why those things were the way they were. Really peeling back and putting that mirror up and saying, do you know what? Flaws and all, I am going to love and accept you and give you, reparent you. Okay, so that you can live life in a more healthier manner, become soft and feminine and inspirational to people. So you're coming from a place where it's nurturing and you are just a joy to be around. You can just sense it in Emily that she did not allow her circumstances to break her. I do not know what she went through. But all I know is whatever she went through, she's definitely on that journey and has been on that journey, because the way she's articulating her experience is beautiful. And as a result, she's able to get through to Paul. beautiful. Let's go.
I agree. I based on what you've just said just now, I totally agree, because you know, I come from, even like in terms of like when I first finished university and started working, I was basically in IT sales, different sales roles, and you know, you're always kind of, your back's against the wall. You have to kind of push harder and just go further and just try to always kind of develop and improve. And I have no, like, to be fair, in the last couple of days of watching it back, I can kind of see that, okay, I can see how I'm kind of too logical and strict with a relationship where it's more emotional. And this is something that, you know, I've realized I accept accountability for, you know, I'm trying to work on as we speak. You know, even speaking to you now, it's kind of, you said one or two things I think, you know, you're right. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. It's making sense, to be fair.
Oh, I'm really pleased to hear that, Paul. Please be kind to yourself as well. You know, I think you have a woman who really loves you.
Me too.
And I think that you do love her too.
Of course.
Yeah. And that your love language, like you said earlier, is providing. So for you, when you are doing that, and you're doing it to the best of your ability, and you are successful at it for the rest of the world to see, it's really an affront on you when people are saying that you're not loving on your woman. As far as you know, you are, right? But what Chioma is saying to you is, yes, she appreciates the way you love her, but there is another way that she feels better loved or more loved. And if you could just see it that way, you would be meeting her halfway. I don't think she's dismissing anything that you do. I think it's just that she's heard you say what you're saying so loud, so vehemently, and even tactlessly on some occasions, Paul, if you can see that. So she really is just struggling to be seen and heard in her own language. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah. So she's not rubbishing what you're saying or doing. She's just saying, please see it from my point of view. This is how I see it. This is how it makes sense to me. And it might be difficult for her to articulate that. And she might think that maybe Denise can say this to you better. But you don't see the value in Denise. And that's kind of, or at least I don't think you see the value in Denise. And I think that's
not really, no.
Love languages. Oh. It's so beautiful when you are loved in your language. That's why I always advise that you and your partner always get to find out what their love language is, and even with your friends as well, find out. Because I know a couple of my friends, when I found out that, you know, this was their love language and that was their love language, and the minute I started to fill that pot, they just blossomed a lot more. That doesn't mean they didn't appreciate me when I was doing the other things, like showing the way I would want that, how I would have wanted them to love me. It's not that they didn't appreciate that, but it made more sense, you know? It's like someone speaking Chinese and you're from Ghana and you keep trying to speak Ghanaian Chi to them, and then, oh, you know, you're speaking the language to them and they're like, yeah, as much as I understand where you're coming from, I'm not really deep in what you're saying. But the minute you learn, you know, some Chinese words and you throw it at them, well, don't throw it at them, but you start speaking it to them, they're gonna better appreciate the effort that you took to really love them in that love language. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I was asking for the stats.
Yeah.
They just say see the stats, man.
I mean, even people are even saying that the woman's on LinkedIn or this and that. I'm thinking, what the hell? What type of research is that? You understand? So, quick question, Emily, are you a therapist or?
No, I'm just a civilian. Sorry, I'm not a therapist.
She's very well spoken and you know what I mean. She knows what she's talking about. Sometimes.
You see, left up to me.
I'm just gonna add that in there. The reason why she's well spoken is because she's taken the time to do the healing that is necessary to get rid of, you know, the toxic or the baggage that she would have dragged into her life, you know, so to speak, had she not healed from her divorce and even her past. Just getting to know yourself in therapy and outside of therapy, continuing that process, it's so key. That's why I keep drumming on about it on this channel. Accountability, therapy, self-awareness, self-regulation. You can have all these emotions in the world. If you do not know how to self-regulate, you will constantly be blaming people for your demise, for your downfall, when in actual fact, had you tweaked something about your life, something about your thinking, something about your mindset, the sky would have been the limit. That is why Emily is such a breath of fresh air. That was such a mouthful. Let's go.
If you know, if I spoke to Emily about, you know, my situation, I feel like you'd be able to kind of give me some kind of guidance and advice that I'll be able to kind of receive well and deploy it, basically.
I think this is twofold. I agree that, you know, he feels like his barriers or his walls are easily coming down in the presence of Emily. I cannot answer the reason as to why that is, but you know, when you're with a therapist and you find that you're not really getting the most out of it or getting the most out of them because you feel as though they cannot really relate to your experiences, don't feel bad if you need to just change therapists, because at the end of the day, the reason why you're there is to get some help. So if the help that you're getting isn't really getting you to your end destination, then feel free to move on to someone else that you think, a different therapist that you relate to. But above all, make sure that you are going in good faith. Because I know with Paul, had he gone into the therapy session with Denise in good faith, I think, again, this is a presumption, it may have gone a different way. So again, that's why I can't quite say it's here or there. I'm just saying that if you're going for therapy, go in good faith so that when you're having to swap, it's not because you weren't going in good faith. That's the reason why you're moving on. It's just because you want someone you can relate to get the most out of the experience. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go.
I would try. I think what's happening, and I probably said this to Taser or somebody else, what tends to happen, I think, is that we focus too much on the way things are being said to us. So you're feeling some kind of way about the situation, so you're being brash and tactless. And that for me is just it's self-preservation. It's a defense mechanism. You're employing it because as far as you're concerned, you're doing your best and people are coming at you. Chioma, on the other hand, is feeling like, I really just need, she's hurt. She's feeling hurt and defenseless. And it's the worst kind of hurt because you are the man that she loves. And as a woman, the one thing that we seek is security. And we seek that security from the people that we love, obviously. So if that her anchor, her strength, her foundation is not hearing her when she's asking you for this basic, huge need of hers, she's rattled. And she will come out fighting too, for herself. So you kind of need to, if you can, see it from that point of view. She appreciates you definitely, but you need to express your love for her in her love language.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think it was necessary for us to be on camera? And do you think that would have played a part in the way she kind of expressed herself? Is that a factor?
So I can't say whether or not you needed to, Paul, because I don't know of your relationship, right? But I think she felt the need to bring it to this point. So that to my mind, something must have been happening behind the scenes of the past in your relationship for her to take what seems to you like a drastic measure.
Yeah, that's what I said. Because when there's a part where you leave and she's just talking to the therapist like one-on-one, and she's like, even getting to this stage is an achievement because we don't usually get to this stage. Because at home, if we were having this discussion, you would have cut her off or you would have walked out.
That's why I believe getting therapy before you get into relationships is absolutely key. Just so that you're not easily triggered, just so that you're more empathetic, you're able to not take things too personally, you're able to just listen actively without being triggered. Because if you do not know yourself, and I'm not saying you have to be perfect before you get into a relationship, but I'm saying having a good idea of who you are, you know, your thought patterns, the reason why you do certain things, your love languages, you know, learning all these things, your traumas, the trauma identity that you've taken upon yourself. Understanding all these things before you meet somebody, and then whilst you're with somebody, going to counselling together is so important, so important. And I think it's very beneficial as well.
When she said that, that's what kind of made me realise, well, it kind of makes sense. That even though she hasn't got what she wanted, it's still progression, as opposed to what would have happened if it was done at home.
She needed an intervention. But for you, Paul, I think you're feeling exposed and you really would not have wanted it.
Of course, obviously, every day you go on Shadeborough, they're just dragging me again. For what? It's just so annoying. Like, I don't get it.
No, I understand, Paul. I understand. Nobody wants their personal business out like that. Nobody does. But I think, I don't know how much of this you've recorded, Paul. I don't know what else is left for the public to see.
I don't know myself.
Okay, that's kind of sad. But between you and Chioma now, behind the scenes, I think that you still have the opportunity to come together.
It's technical. But you know, obviously, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
You know, God is in control. You know, so.
Do have some control, please, Paul. I'm much of a God-fearing person as the next person, but you have a lot of control in the situation, and by that I mean you have the ability to change your own story as far as your relationship goes. So if it means that you work very hard at holding back when speaking, then do that. If it means that you change the manner in which you speak, then do that. I don't expect it to be easy.
You saw that? Sometimes as Christians, we can easily hide behind God will do it. You know, God will get us, can I even talk today? God will get us through this. Yes, absolutely, He will get us through it. But we ourselves have the responsibility to do our part. And as a relationship, it's us, so ourselves, our partner, and God, obviously, if you are a Christian at that point. So when you say God is going to do something, that He is only going to do that which is out of your control. And as Emily was saying, biting your tongue, or not even biting your tongue, holding back on certain things, maybe listening actively, you know, empathizing and trying to understand, putting a little bit more effort to maybe learn your partner's love language. All of those things are within our control to change. And yes, God will give us the strength, He will give us the patience, but we ourselves have to be willing to do that in the first place in order for anything to manifest in that relationship for the better. Let's go.
But as long as you're trying, I think she will see that, Paul. Hang on to the love that you have for her and the future that you want for each other. Give up I don't want to use the word ego. Ego is not a bad word. Ego is the part of ourselves that keeps us alive. If you can surrender that part of yourself and be there for, and see yourself really as her person, I think it'll be easier for you. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
I get what you're saying, but the question that I have is, would she be willing to give up or sacrifice her Instagram?
Can I ask why
is Instagram so...
Yeah, given that this is how you met her, and this is, I believe, a big chunk of how she earns her living.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that? Okay. Yeah. So you met her there, and this is how she earns her living. Why, may I ask, Paul, do you want her to give it up? What is the issue there?
No, I didn't say I want her to give it up. I'm just saying, would she be willing to? The same way you're saying I should sacrifice my ego, can she sacrifice her Instagram?
Do you think the two are equated?
It's a good question. I don't know. I have to think about that. But my point is that with the whole Instagram thing, it's like that's her world. I'm an introvert, right? Now there's people following me now because of whatever, right? But you know, with her, you know, she's been into the whole stuff, and that's cool. But at the same time, the way I kind of see things is when you have a picture, lots of pictures and videos online, that kind of paints a picture of who you are, how you are, right?
But that is, Paul, nobody has any control over what people think of them. Nobody does. So if you're going through this right now, right? You know who you are as an individual. People are dragging you as head on shade bar. You cannot control that. Nothing you say or do is necessarily going to change what people think of you. That is true of every single person, whether or not they're on social media. The exercise is for us as individuals to find a place in our lives, in our own selves, where we can just accept who we are, and that's enough for us. It doesn't matter what Taser thinks. It doesn't matter what Paul thinks. Emily is Emily. I'm sat here on my bed with my midnights, and people could be dragging me, but whatever. I know who I am, and that should be enough for me. And the same should apply to you. It should apply to Chioma, and it should also apply to how you see Chioma, because you know your girl. How can you let strangers rattle you when it comes to your girl? You know her. No matter how...
Because it would take a small clip like this, beam, and the thing they would take the small clip and then they just put it in the shade bar out. They just put like a comment, oh, this guy, blah, blah, blah. Everyone just started dragging me up and down.
It's hard. I know it's hard. I have a feeling.
It doesn't make sense to me. I think...
But drama sells, remember? Drama and entertainment sells. Look at Real Housewives and all of that, and look at what Portia has done recently. These things stir up, you know, conversation. It's just drama, heart racing. That's all it is. And that's why when you do not identify your triggers, anything online can trigger you, especially when, you know, your laundry or your dirty laundry is pretty much being aired on Blue Therapy. So it's just one of those things. You just need to become more grounded in yourself, because I can understand that, you know, watching it back, you're gonna see your insecurities probably being blasted openly, you know, things that maybe you haven't even seen yourself in that light before, and now you're having to see it. And all of these things are there. Just becoming more aware of these things. You cannot control how people or what people are going to say about you. It's just about addressing those things with yourself, essentially.
I could just get I'll just be battling them in the comments. Come on, you crazy? Are you bad? Are you bad? And then after I calculate it, I said, this doesn't make sense now. Just that.
Okay, but if she's making money using her Instagram, are you not happy with the way she's using her Instagram to make money?
No. To be fair, it's all right. It's all right. But at the end of the day, no. But to be fair, like, look, if we really want to sit down and do the math, okay, how much you making over a certain amount of it. If I said, okay, cool, I put the money down now. What are you telling me? What are you gonna say?
Away her dignity. You're taking away her age.
And her wanting to generate money for herself.
Yeah. Especially Paul. Especially since this is where you met this lovely lady. This is who she was before you came into her life, and now you are asking her to erase all of that for you. And you're not. It doesn't seem to me as yet that you are giving her a good enough reason to do so. And I'm not saying that the reason to be monetary. Just make her understand why, if at all she does.
Okay, so sorry to cut you. I need to get back to work. Can we do this another time?
100%.
Sure. All right. I'll add you both on Instagram, and then.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. We've seen Paul in a different light, and I think after this conversation, he's definitely going to take some things into consideration. And obviously, people don't drag people online. you know, you just don't know what they're going through behind the scenes, you know. Yes, they've put this situation out there, but for the purpose of this video, it was just like a case scenario. What can we learn from this situation? That was the premise of this video. And I really do hope that, you know, you learned something from here, the importance of healing, and the importance of just really, really looking deep into yourself, you know, analyzing your thoughts, your patterns, why you do the things you do, why you think the way you think about yourself, and really get into the core of all of that so that you can really better understand yourself and start living in harmony with other people. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know down below. And then until next time, take care and God bless. Bye-bye.